Is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kokomlemle at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including ATL FM in Cape Coast, Radio Max in Takrady, and A1 Radio in Bogatanga. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank. Let's go. In this edition, we assess Ghana's COVID-19 management as infections near the 10,000 mark. Is the country winning the fight against the virus?
I think that we have done well, but we need to do more, especially going into the phases of easing. Once you ease, people who have not yet been exposed will become exposed and they will be infected. People will have to adhere to these precautions so we can keep the death rate below.
But concerns still linger over whether or not easing of the restrictions is the way to go.
The infections that we've recorded this week is about 5 times the infections that were recorded in the whole first month. So there is no evidence that the restrictions that have been used so far are having the effect that they should have.
And on the streets, enforcement of the mask-wearing directive is facing some resistance from a section of the public.
Sometimes people abuse us. We even receive slaps. Some of my staff have received slaps just trying to ask somebody why you are not in mask, try and get a mask.
We'll hear from a health expert here on the Midday News. Also, governing NPP directs suspension of supporters said to have invoked cases on national executives for disqualifying some candidates in the upcoming primary.
And this one, we are going to enforce to the latter.
We'll bring you details, and also the NDC has launched what it calls the Corruption Tracker to chronicle cases of corruption in the Akufo-Addo administration. And later,
the first question is, when I see you walk by the way you smile make me brother.
We'll hear all about how the entertainment industry has taken a nosedive as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Some industry people have been talking on beyond the lockdown.
It hurts that you work so hard and somebody is trying to meet where there's no soul.
This lockdown period when they were showing elsewhere, I would be earning something.
We need live audience to survive.
We have all that and more here in this edition of the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Please stay for details. And this afternoon, Ghana's enforcement of some of the protocols to combat the coronavirus pandemic has been met with resistance from a section of the public. Public health workers out to enforce the mask-wearing directive are being assaulted. We'll get into that shortly, but first, with Ghana's case count inching closer to the 10,000 mark, is the country winning the fight against the virus? That's the question the experts and the analysts have been asking. In the following report, we'll hear from some of them.
The Ministry of Health has confirmed 2 cases of COVID-19. The cases were confirmed on the 12th of March.
It's been nearly 3 months since that announcement, and the country's case count is nearly 10,000. Government announced a raft of restrictions to curtail the spread of a disease which has killed almost 50 people.
I've imposed, pursuant to the powers granted the President of the Republic, restrictions on movement of persons in the Greater Accra metropolitan area.
A 3-week lockdown, a ban on social gatherings, and closure of the country's land, sea and air borders brought the economy to its knees.
There shall be during this period no intercity movement of vehicles and aircraft for private or commercial purposes for the areas of the restrictive measures.
But with the easing of some other restrictions, is Ghana winning the fight against the virus, which has so far infected nearly 7 million people worldwide and killed more than 400,000 others? Listen to policy analyst and honorary executive of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons.
If you take the infections that we've recorded this week, it's about 5 times the infections that were recorded in the whole first month after the first infections were detected. So there is no evidence whatsoever that the restrictions that have been used so far are having the effect that they should have.
And Dean of the Law School of the University for Professional Studies, Accra, Kofi Abochi, wonders how religious leaders and schools would effectively comply with the directives for reopening.
The churches in particular are not in the habit of turning people away. And so once you have a restricted number of people who can enter the church, you are essentially asking the churches to come out with standard criteria for determining who should come in and who should not. And that's difficult. I'm not sure that the churches have been preparing for this.
While final year junior high school and senior high school as well as tertiary students prepare to go back to school for their exam, there remains a concern about their safety. But Deputy Director General Quality and Access at the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Kwabna Tando, is allaying fears.
Every student will be supplied with 3 reusable face masks. Every single school will be supplied with hand washing facility. We are also identifying a space where you can do isolation of students should you see that the temperatures are going up or people are exhibiting certain symptoms.
In no time, Ghana's case count will hit 10,000, but virologist with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, Dr. Michael Owusu, says Ghana is doing a good job.
We are quite doing very well within sub-Saharan Africa. We have one of the lowest deaths in this sub-region, and that tells you that we are very much ahead. And once you're able to test, what it means is that you're able to detect the cases very early, you're able to isolate them, and you are able to shield the vulnerable groups.
He is, however, urging caution as the president continues what he describes as a phased approach in easing the restrictions.
Now, in the effort to contain the virus, the government has laid out a number of measures, including social distancing and wearing of face masks. But Joy News checks reveal many people on the streets of Accra and in commercial vehicles are failing to comply. Nancy Emefa Apawu has been speaking to some of them.
As we drove through town, the news team observed that almost, if not all, conductors of the commercial vehicles were without nose masks. So their drivers were also without nose masks, and some passengers were also without nose masks.
I'm having a nose mask with me, but since I'm using bicycle and I need much air to breathe in and out, so that's why I remove it. But when I'm entering the crowd, I always wear nose mask.
But you're talking to me now, you're not wearing it?
Yes, you are protected right now.
Why is your nose mask?
Oh, my nose mask is inside my vehicle there.
But why do you go out without it?
Oh, mommy, I'll tell you the truth. It's very hard for us to use because sometimes you feel so hard to breathe.
You're not scared of COVID-19?
COVID-19? Let me tell you the truth. I don't believe there's COVID-19 here. None of my friends, all my family could ever testify that, oh, this one person, is a friend that has COVID-19. I've not seen it being real.
Alright, I have just met a commercial driver and I want to find out from him why he's not wearing his nose mask, even though I see him holding one. He's not wearing it behind the steering wheel. I don't know, nose mask don't share.
Oh, Mr. By Cecilia, Madame Huyana, me you too.
So for passengers, you say,
no, passenger be answering. Passengers will not say. Now, I'm a year to mutual you can and me you too.
Now, we made this one should be.
Or should be here. This
let me go close to the bus conductor. I don't know if you're
also, me pie sana, a shamano sana, me pie on, will be answering cancer at times. Let me yap.
I don't know if you ever talk for.
Oh, now, some for me pie really, I'm a shit. Let me give you the I'm a shit. There's some other thing that I'm a pie, I need to.
Now, what is just no ring without nose mask? I open it so.
No, you can't throw me. Oklahoma, a salon. Well, Yakita, we are not watching. But the only way is now. Or by force of a thing, or do I watch?
Yeah, do I suppose I watch your nose mask come in the education, am I right?
Some residents of the capital interacting with my colleague Nancy Emefa Apawu. Let's speak now to a virologist at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, Dr. Augustina Silverkin. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So we are hitting almost 10,000 when it comes to the coronavirus case. Of course, there's a significant number of recoveries as well. But you get the sense that we have a hang on this virus, or should we be alarmed?
Emefa, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners. And thank you for having me. It's difficult for me to agree that we really have a hang on the virus, especially when for us, we know that close to 91% of all our confirmed cases have come from people who are known to be asymptomatic. So they appear healthy, they are hale and hearty, but you test them and they are positive. I think that if we have a hang on the virus, then or if we are able, we would be able to have a hang on the virus, then we really should be adhering to I call them very simple mitigation measures, simple yet uncomfortable mitigation measures. Because I heard from one of the drivers that it is uncomfortable. And indeed, wearing these masks like for 6 hours definitely will not be comfortable. But at the end of the day, we want to protect ourselves. I keep on saying that, look, if we have to be paranoid with wearing of nose mask, and not just even the wearing of the nose mask, but wearing it very well and removing it very well. Sometimes on TV screens, you see people and you wonder whether they are wearing a nose mask or it is a chin mask. And I was very excited when on one of the days, Emefa, you decided to at least caution one person you were interviewing to wear the nose mask well. I think we should all be each other's keeper, so that if I am entering into a shop and people are not wearing a nose mask, I think I need to be able to tell them, caution them that, look, you have to wear the nose mask. If we don't all help ourselves, like the president keeps on saying, I don't think we'll be able to really have a good hang on this particular smart virus.
Well, but on restrictions, they are being eased. We're in the first phase. Churches reopened yesterday and other gatherings as well. The fear many have is that we could be entering a phase where we would have even more cases. Is that not it?
I totally agree with you, especially when people are not adhering to the simple mitigation measures. And I'm expecting church leaders to lead by example. I think this is the best of times for them to lead by example. And, hopefully most of them will work under the influence of the Holy Spirit. I don't expect, for example, any church leader to indicate that, look, the nose mask is from somewhere. So the Holy Spirit tells me that everybody remove your nose mask. I mean, this will be very, very serious for people to do. Indeed, let's give ourselves 14 days. Look at the incubation period of the virus. And for me, I expect to see an increase. But as to whether the increase will be significant or not should be what we may be looking out for. Because even when I go to the website of the Ghana Health Service, so between 31st May and June 4th, as they have shown, I see an increase. So from a little over 8,000 to close to, I don't want to say 10,000, but I'll say close to 9,700 cases. So these are just confirmed cases. But what baffles me, and I'm startled by the number of routine surveillance, the positive cases. So it's as if we are seeing 681 good cases within 6 days. And I think we all need to be alarmed, not just being alarmed, but of course making sure that we are educating our people where we are engaging them. I mean, who knows? Maybe we may even want to apply a bit of gentle force, so that we put a bit of fear into our people. We alert people, we caution people, we make sure that people are really adhering to all the safety or the mitigation measures we have always been.
We're grateful for your time. That's all time will allow us. Dr. Augustina Silverkin, we're grateful for your time. She's a virologist at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. And as you heard earlier, it appears enforcement of some of the rules, including wearing of face masks, as directed by the president, is not being strictly adhered to. Public Health Director of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Florence Kuchi, says some of her officials have endured slaps from persons confronted over their failure to wear the mask. She was speaking on COVID and the law, a legal show on the Joining channel.
Enforcing the wearing of face masks hasn't been easy as an environmental health officer when we go to the field. Sometimes people abuse us. Some of my staff have received slaps.
Really?
Yes. Just trying to ask somebody why you are not in mask, try and get a mask. And I always say it is the attitude of the Ghanaian. Typical Ghanaian is always afraid of a change.
Now, meanwhile, at the various health facilities and treatment centers, pressure is building up as many more people get infected. Dr. Abba Lawson is a critical care staff and anesthetist at the University of Ghana Medical Center, ICU.
You keep, hoping that your patients, you are able to give the best care despite these new challenges you are facing. And you also hope that not as many people get critically ill, to reduce not just the burden of illness on people, but also the burden on the healthcare.
You heard Dr. Abba Lawson. She's a critical care staff at the University of Ghana Medical Center, ICU. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM, and it's your election headquarters. And the sound of that tells you it's time for politics, and governing NPP directs constituency executives to, with immediate effect, suspend party supporters who invoked curses on the National Executive Committee for disqualifying some candidates. General Secretary of the party, John Boyd, who is upset by the development, argued that some of the aspirants voluntarily agreed to withdraw from the primaries and that the actions of the supporters do not reflect the ideals of the party. The NPP's primaries come up later this month, but some supporters have accused the party of making incumbent MPs run unopposed by disqualifying some aspirants.
Now the party office I say will be no you more
So those were some MPP youth in the Kwabre constituency invoking curses on party officials they accuse of taking bribes to allow incumbents to go unopposed. Earlier, the youth locked up the office amidst the burning of ties. The NPP General Secretary, John Boyd, who has been speaking about this today at a news conference. But first, let's head to the Manso in Kwanta constituency in the Ashanti region, where there were similar agitations. My colleague, Nanaya Ojima, was there. He will join us shortly with details of that. But here's what he found when he went to the area.
I've done my homework, and even I was at home when people came around, always calling on me to come back and take the seat. To come back and take the seat and deliver them from what they term to be very terrible for them. That even though I was in the opposition, I was doing better than what they are seeing now. Because Manso Kwanta constituency is known to be MPP stronghold, and therefore, if we are in opposition, we realize that the whole constituency is in opposition, and therefore, now that MPP is in power, they were expecting that their government is now in, and therefore, something unique, differently should be happening over there, and that is what they are not seeing.
Well, and that's a constituency executive. They're interacting with my colleague Nanaya Ojima. Nanaya, briefly, tell us exactly what the confusion around the primary there is.
So, in the constituency, a lot of them believed that Madam Grace Addo was going to be disqualified from contesting in the election, but unfortunately for supporters of Madam Grace Addo and Madam Grace Addo herself, that didn't come to pass. But in other constituencies, like the Asokwa constituency, where Madam Patricia Apije will be contesting unopposed, there are lots of agitation from supporters of Nanaya Abuache who wanted to contest for to become the MP for the area. According to them, the NPP should have opened up for contest so that Madam Patricia Apije and her supporters will know that they are not doing a good job and someone else should come and take the position and do what the people expect for them.
That's my colleague Nanaya Ojima there, but at a news conference in Accra today, General Secretary of the NPP, John Boyd, says the party would punish those behind the cases and the confusion.
The party has observed, rather worryingly, the conduct of some members claiming to be invoking cases on the party leadership, and in particular on members of the National Executive Committee, on allegations that their preferred candidate has been disqualified by NEC from contesting in the primaries. We are completely appalled by such gross misconduct. Accordingly, the party is instructing the respective constituencies or constituency executives in the constituencies where these unfortunate incidents happened to immediately suspend all those involved in this awkward behavior whilst instituting appropriate disciplinary actions against them.
That's the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boyd. The party also announced the names of all contestants in the upcoming primaries for the various constituencies. And now to the stables of the NDC. They've also been holding a news conference today. The party says is the first of a series of weekly news conferences they will be holding to address supporters on developments in the country. Here accepts.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, corruption has undoubtedly been the bane of Ghana's development for a very long time, with the poor and vulnerable being at the worst end of this canker. As a responsible opposition with the responsibility of keeping government on its toes, the NDC is today embarking on a corruption tracker series to track the status of the countless cases of corruption we have witnessed under the Akufo-Addo government in the last 3.5 years. Scandals which have occasioned huge financial losses to the state and robbed Ghanaians of the developments they were promised in the year 2016.
That's the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Summit JC. My colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, has been following the stories and joins us now with details. Parker, I know that Felix Kwachiofosu has also been responding to some of the claims made by the President at the commissioning of the Tema motorway. Tell us more.
Yes, so Felix Ofosu-Kwakye is fighting off claims that the project constructed under the Mahama administration, as captured in the Green Book, are fictional and only exist in the Green Book. Now, he cited a number of infrastructure projects that the actual administration constructed. He talked about the Ridge Hospital. He talked about the University of Ghana Medical Center, including the Kotoka Terminal 3. So these are projects that Felix says they are evident enough and accuse the president of actually lacking accuse him of paying attention to details in a way. So these are some of the things that Mr. Ofosu-Kwakye has been saying.
That's my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson, and that's it for the election quarters here on the Midday News. We'll take a quick break. When we return, media managers and experts make a case for the industry to be prioritized in the stimulus package announced by government in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic.
We are the front line. I'll be surprised if the media is not part.
There's been a COVID impact on them. And so, yes, government has an obligation.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, media managers and experts are advocating for the industry to be prioritized in the stimulus package announced by government for businesses adversely affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Many businesses have been hit hard, and media organizations which have not been left out have had to resort to cost-cutting measures, including laying off staff. Joy News editor Araba Kumsing has been speaking to some of the industry players who are making a strong case for the media to be supported in our latest hotline documentary titled The Media, a Virus and Survival.
You have either Yezi saying that, this particular brand says that most of their staff are working from home. They don't see why we should come to the office, so we are cutting spending by some 60%, 40%. That affects you because you have salaries to pay.
Yes, it's been tougher. It's been tougher because now most companies who had put in X amount for advertising would not advertise.
Media experts such as Dean of the University of Ghana School of Information and Communication Studies, Professor Audrey Gajapo, believe government must prioritize the media in its bid to support all enterprises that have been distressed by COVID.
Of course, that's only fair because government is trying to support all enterprises that have been distressed by COVID, and the media business is one of them. And so yes, government has an obligation to do that.
Although the idea of government financially supporting media organizations is generally accepted by all in the industry, opinions are divided on the manner in which the support ought to be given. City's Bernard Avle doesn't think a capital injection is what media houses require at this time.
So my point was, instead of media asking for a bailout, as in give us 1 million to share, tell multimedia, I'm going to give you a 6-month reprieve on we call them your statutories, your PAYE, your VAT and all these things. Just guarantee that you will keep all your staff in a job. Because what unemployment does to an economy is worse than what not paying taxes does.
I completely agree that government must look into the tax rebate for the media, because I don't know how we're going to survive in another 2-3 months. I honestly don't know.
You heard the excerpts of the Hotline documentary by Araba Kums entitled The Media, A Virus and Survival, throwing the spotlight on the impact of COVID-19 on the traditional media in Ghana. So the full documentary will be aired on the Joy News channel tonight at 8:30 p.m. You won't want to miss it. Now, leader of the Economic Fighters League, Ernesto Yeboah, who was arrested by security operatives during a hashtag Black Lives Matters vigil last Saturday night, has been arraigned. The gathering, according to the police, was in breach of the Public Order Act. He's been charged with failure to notify police and organizing public events contrary to the Public Order Act and executive instruments on public gatherings. Sarah Josu gives us a wrap of what happened last Saturday.
The Ghana police is arresting him. Oh my God, oh my God.
This was what transpired at the Black Star Square when security operatives disrupted the Black Lives Matter vigil and arrested the convener, Ernesto Yeboah. Ernesto Yeboah, who was admitted to a 100,000 cedi bail with one surety, has also been charged for failure to notify the police of such a public gathering, as well as breaching the executive instrument on restrictions. The leader of the Economic Fighters League, however, denied any wrongdoing.
What part of the EI-64 is being applied to me? Anybody who entered the space was hand sanitized. If you did not have a mask, we equipped you with one. It was the police that were in full breach of all of these protocols. So it's quite surprising how there could be a turnaround in what charges are thrown at us. I'll be happy to meet them in court.
We have details of that proceedings later today and hear from his lawyers as well subsequently. Now, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has intercepted about 42 kilograms of substances suspected to be cocaine, heroin and tramadol from the Boglo border near the Apawu border post. My colleague Ebenezer Sabote joins us with details. Ebenezer, what more can you report?
So what I can report is that about 8:30 a.m. yesterday, the Customs Division of the GRA went on an operation with the BNI. It's a joint operation, and some men from the Immigration Service, and they intercepted this parcel. But what I can say is that the driver of the vehicle, which is a four-wheel drive Prado Toyota, has absconded, and at the moment they are on the manhunt for him.
That's my colleague Ebenezer Sabote. There'll be more on this on myjoyonline.com. It's time for entertainment. Becky is here.
Yes, Emefa. The creative arts industry, just like many other industries around the world, has become dormant due to the coronavirus outbreak. Huge concerts, movies, music videos and other entertainment activities have all ground to a halt as people continue to observe social distancing amid halting the spread of the virus. Some entertainers were on the Beyond the Lockdown on Joy News to discuss COVID on the industry. Joy News' Henry Kwesi Bedu has more in this following report.
Entertainment is about people. But with viruses everywhere, social distancing is now the new norm. No one will want to go out for anything if it's not so essential. The gates have been shut to concerts, cinemas, or even stand-up comedy, and Ghana is no exception.
We are a collective society, except that it's still not as good as we should be. This lockdown period when they were showing it elsewhere, I would be earning something from the screening of those folks. These are things I made about 20, 25, 30 years ago that they were showing, and they were showing for free. So some of these things, when they are corrected, I think it will go a long way to help us in the industry.
That's ace actor and chairman of the National Film Authority, David Donto, who says even though some movies he starred in more than 20 years ago are being screened during the COVID-19 period, he's yet to receive any royalties for them. The situation is no different in the music industry. Award-winning gospel artist Diana Hamilton laments theft of intellectual property of artists by bloggers and other websites as entertainers continue to feel the brunt of COVID-19.
One person decides to open a website and put everybody's song there and start selling. It hurts that you work so hard and somebody is trying to meet where there's no song. And keep putting in and you'll be getting nothing back. I've recently released a video, a song, and somebody has put the full video. It was meant for YouTube, iTunes, and the rest. Somebody has downloaded the whole thing and put it on Facebook and directing all the views to that person's page. It's not fair.
But in this era of heavy restrictions on public gatherings and events, how are comedians surviving? Unlike musicians and actors, they have no royalties to claim. Here is comedian Obi Amponsa, who says he and his colleagues are literally stuck at home.
We need live audience to survive. If you do not get that response from the audience, you do not feel like you are really reaching out to them. So we've resorted to Instagram live comedy sessions, YouTube live comedy sessions, and this unfortunately does not come with revenue.
For a country whose creative arts industry is overly lucrative, it could take months, if not years, for the industry to bounce back in full steam.
Wow, what a show it was.
Emefa, I would like to congratulate you. It was a fantastic show.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you
really?
so much, and the team. And just before we go, our Arrival Live tip for this afternoon: do not get behind the steering wheel to drive if you feel fatigued or unwell. Also, avoid driving under the influence of any drug. It could cloud your judgment and slow your reaction time. Our Arrival Live tips on the Midday News is brought to you by Bedrock Insurance Company Limited. Bedrock Insurance, protecting things you truly value, and also brought to you by Total Ghana. Arrival Live. And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. I am Emefa Apawu. Thanks for your company.